News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Well, this is quite shocking. Elite universities, Georgetown, Columbia, Berkeley, and others are saying that a lot of their students don't know how to read. They don't know how to read books, I should say. And here's some of the quotations. Columbia University humanities professor bewildered. First-year student said she'd never been required to read a full book at her public high school. His jaw dropped. That's why she's a great student from public schools, because she doesn't have to be challenged. So that's how she comes in and gets it, put in there with these great grades from a school that's not challenging her. That's my words, not his. A few students are up to the task, but they're more the exception than the rule. Others shutting down when facing difficult texts. One Georgetown guy says, my student, he told me, the English department guy told me his students have trouble staying focused on even a sonnet. It's not they don't want to do it, but it's they don't know how. Middle and high schools have stopped asking them to. A survey of 300 third to eighth grade teachers found only 17% say they primarily teach whole texts. 25% saying whole books are no longer the focus of their curriculum. It is more prominent in a good way, reading the full book with it's more prominent with public schools. The private schools are slower to shift away from reading whole volumes. In response, colleges have been reducing their load. Dumbing it down here, dumbing it down there, then dumbing it down here, and it gets worse and worse and worse, and our country gets destroyed more and more and more. Columbia instructors who determine the literature humanities curriculum decided to trim the reading list for current school year. Psychologists told her they suspect this columnist or this author of this piece in The Atlantic. Psychologists tell her the abundance of social media apps, TikTok and YouTube and others, have taken over recreational reading. Quote, it's changed expectations about what's worthy of attention. Being bored has become unnatural. Another reason suggested by another prof was the state of the economy, with students more concerned over jobs rather than reading for fun. Actually, they should be reading for fun rather than worrying about jobs. You put in the work, work like it, work hard and then play hard. And playing hard can be resting very hard and reading stuff and stimulating your mind. Some experts attribute it to a shift in values rather than skill sets. They can still read books, they argue, just not choosing not to. We're far more concerned about their job prospects than in the past. Well, you're not going to get a job if you're not well read. Is a really great rationale to read. Though professors have willingly begun scaling back their curriculum in favor of shorter texts or excerpts, many still mourn the loss of cultural enrichment that comes from reading. A lot of contemporary ideas of empathy are built on identification, identity politics, says Berkeley English prof. Reading is more complicated than that, so it enlarges your sympathies. My son and daughter were taught in a brilliant approach called the Charlotte Mason approach, and they were homeschooled. My wife, I thought she was nuts in first grade when she said, we're going to pull out my son. I prepared. We're going to teach him. And I can tell you 20 years later, it was the most unbelievably incredibly wonderful and wise decisions we've ever made in our life. We sacrificed a lot. We were a one-income home. She's going to start back up again now that she's 18. My daughter's 18. He's 21. But he is wildly successful. I've told you about, he's got 3 semesters left. He's engaged. He studied in Japan for the last semester. He's got literally almost a full ride this semester in scholarships. The kid is a shining star of us that I am like beyond honored. You know what I mean? He doesn't go to Ivy League, but he goes to one of our public universities here in North Texas, and he's doing so well. I mean, it's incredible. I love my boy, and I love my daughter. She's still, dealing with, some of the harder stuff. Her academics, she's like me. You have to work very hard, and she does get mostly A's still, and a B or two here. But she's not the same. She's different, and that's okay. You know, everybody's different. Everybody learns and wants to do differently. She doesn't like reading long books for the most part. Now she likes reading manga, you know, the Japanese comics or whatever. Not comics, but the anime. But she does, and she's in a psychology course. She's taking a biology course, blah, blah, blah. She's taking a macroeconomics or something. I don't even know. So I'm proud. But the Living Books approach is, instead of learning facts and learning to the test, you learn all about our history through fact-based books. Some of them and they also did read like To Kill a Mockingbird, you know, all these great works of art from books from legendary authors. So just an amazing education. And look, one of the books was that they would have to read. And sometimes my daughter's like, I don't want to read. She struggled a little bit. And so we would read some, we'd have her read some, etc. You know, you do what you got to do to make it work. And then you ask and answer questions. So you make sure they know the material. And if they don't, you try to work through it with them. You know, that's how it is. And I am so grateful for that, because reading this is horrifying to me, or it's just sickening. It's horrible. So I want to ask you a few questions. Why do you think it's happening that elite college students can't read books anymore? They can't read through a whole book. And why do you think so many people have? What do you think is the answer? I'm sorry, to solving this problem. Why do you think it's happening, and what do you think the answer is to solving this problem? 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. I do think social media is largely to blame. The just boom, 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 right? Entertain me, amuse me. You got 20 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds. It's just horrible. And if we have time tonight in this hour or later on, we might be talking about this. TikTok, 12 or 13 states attorneys general have sued them, and they are getting documents from TikTok, and it came out today that the executives knew that their algorithm is harmful and addictive, and that's part of what just came out today. And I'm not surprised. It's super crack for kids, and it's destroying them. I do agree. And I'm not saying you should ban things, but I'm saying you should really know and really limit it somehow, some way, okay? You have to. And if you can't afford a private school, I would seriously think about making it work for homeschooling somehow, some way, because, or if the school is rigorous and does it great. I know there's some public schools that are good, but this is very troubling to me. So I blame social media and parents for not regulating it. That is my thing. I don't think it's the economy and students concerned over jobs rather than reading for fun. I think that's lame. Maybe they're professors at these elite universities. Maybe they're right. But, dude, you are ensconced in your school when you're in school. And if you're not, then you're not going to be a good student. My son is ensconced. He works 20 hours a week at a coffee place. And he is a full-time student, and he works very hard, and the rest of his time he's either with his friends or his fiance, and that is it. And he has grown into a young man, and this is terrible. The depth he will get from a book, the breadth and the knowledge is tremendous. It is tremendous. You think J.D. Vance read the whole book? You think J.D. Vance's kids are reading the whole book? You think of Vivek Ramaswamy and his children are reading the full book? You're darn right they are. And they've done it's beyond exceptionally well, insanely well. And, but, you know, and you got to figure out a way to make sure your kid's reading whole books. It's the parents' fault, ultimately. It really is. And you got to know what the school's teaching. And if they're not doing whole books, you got to figure out a way to do that. If you have to, you know what else another idea I have for you right now that I've learned over the years? It's okay to pay your kid to do something that's good for them. Not in everything, but if they need money or they want money and they're younger, you could pay them. You can say, for every chapter, I'll give you blank, or for every book you read, I'll give you blank. And if you give a book report and explaining it, that's great. Something where you can incentivize it. That is how I would do that. A shift in values rather than skill sets too. I don't know. I don't know about that. I think it's social media and the public schools and laziness. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Oh gosh, this is going to be good. I am somebody who has ADHD. My son has it. My daughter has it, we believe. She does. She does, and he does, and I do. And maybe or maybe not my wife, but more than 15 million U.S. adults have ADHD, a brand new study estimates. Do you believe this? Why do you think so many people have ADHD? Or do they? Some people think it's it's fake, or it's a hoax, or it's an excuse. I won't be offended at whatever your position is. I just finally, over the years, getting help for it and learning about it and learning that that's literally what got me to where I am today in my career and why I am who I am. And it's a blessing if you can harness it and use it to your advantage. It's also an Achilles heel. But do you believe that more than 15 U.S. adults, 15 million, have ADHD? And why do you think so many have it? Or do they? That's next on the Chris Crock Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. 10:15 on a Friday night. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Well, we're going to get to the ADHD story in a moment, but wanted to take Alan's call in Stephenville, where we checked in at the hospital several years ago for my son with his perpetual nosebleed when he was a Boy Scout, probably about 6-7 years ago, 8 years ago. I don't remember now, but that was quite interesting and fun over there. Alan, thanks for calling in on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. By the way, the number is 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227, asking about the fact that so many college students apparently can't read a whole book. Why do you think it's happening? What do you think the answer is to solving the problem? Then we get to the ADHD issue. Let's go to Alan in Stephenville. You're on WBAP. Hey, Alan.
Yes, Chris. You take me home every night. I drive a milk truck out of Stephenville, and I listen to you on my way back. I get the whole WBAP crew all the way down, all the way back.
Thank you very much.
What I was going to tell you was that back in the early 70s, they had the little fat books, and they had the picture on one side, the story on the other. I collected those, and I was trying to get one every one, so I found out I had 3 sets of them. They were 36 little books. I gave a set to my best friend. When his daughter was a baby, he was reading her those books. And before she could walk, she could tell you the story by looking at the picture.
Wow.
And as that young lady grew up 16 years later, she is a straight A student, smart as a whip. And I believe it's because, and then she had a reading program in her school. She grew up in Event. And she would check books out during the school year or during the summer for extra credit and stuff. And she is the smartest young lady. I give him credit for her, and I believe that they're reading. There's no telling the benefit that she got out of those. And those little books are still available. You got to buy them on eBay. But I've got like 100 of them, and my grandkids come over and they look at the pictures and they read them, and they're like 3rd grade and kindergarten. But it was just tremendous, and those aren't available no more. They were from the early 70s, late 60s. They're like antique now.
Think of but you could still have them and read them, whether they're from the 70s or not, and teach the kids in amazing ways. And think of the dynamic breadth and expansion of her mind and her depth because of the reading.
Yes, it was the Illustrated Classics was the name of them. and Black Beauty, Call of the Wild.
Yes, my daughter read that. We had that one in my house when she was younger. Call of the Wild. She read it.
Tell of Two Cities, Dr. Jekyll Hyde. And then, I mean, there was like 36 of them. And then you got, you know, the Walt Disney version with the Donald Ducks and the Tom and Jerry and all those. Yeah, I got them.
Before Mickey was marrying. Mickey was marrying John at Disney World. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm 64 years old. I still read them because it's a condensed version of the story. And, you know, I never read the full, you know, version of Black Beauty or Call of the Wild or any of that. And, you know, even growing up now, you know, I can read those, and then I know what the time machine story is about. I know what, and best one I like is that Count of Monte Cristo. Yeah, that's a favorite, but the movie's better. At least the guy gets the girl.
I remember watching Black Beauty as a kid. That was a long movie. I loved it so much, and I wanted to get a horse after that.
It was amazing that reading that story, the person that wrote that had the new horses. So it's like, the stories that got the horse telling the story, and to have that knowledge of horses and the way they act and, you know, could act and what that, you know, we don't know for sure, but from that point of view, it's just amazing that, you know, that could be done.
I appreciate your call, and that was a wonderful story, Alan. I'm grateful to have you listening on your way home every night. It honors me, and I appreciate it very much. I feel like I'm sitting there in the car with you right in the truck right now. Can I have one of these milks? Do you have a chocolate milk back there?
No, I actually have to buy it.
Well, if you look the other way, if one should drop, I might pick it up. But do you actually have chocolate milk on there, though?
No,
just regular milk.
They don't. No,
just regular milk.
The only place.
We dropped you. What? The only place what now?
I'm in a hole.
That's okay.
We pick it up around the dairies around Stephenville, and we supply all the milk to HEB San Antonio and HEB Houston.
Oh my gosh! Wait a minute. You go to the farms, the areas that the farms bring it to?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, how precious!
Actually, a couple years ago, my grandson had a deal about Flat Stanley, which I don't know if you know the story. Flat Stanley, he got his poster book fell on him and flattened him, and then he could go anywhere.
Yes,
I did a Flat Stanley.
We lost you. You there? I'm sorry we lost you, Alan. I got to go, though. Listen, I appreciate you very much. Hey, all of a sudden we hear at 15.5 million people have ADHD. And my question is, do you believe that? And a new study estimates, do you believe that? There's that many? And why do you think so many have ADHD? Or do they? 800-288-WBAP is our number. We're going to hit on that coming up next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. That's at 10:33. News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it appreciate, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Talking about ADHD, more than 15 million adults have ADHD. A new study estimates 15.5 million ADHD have the disorder. Most of them struggle with gaining access to treatment for the condition. Only a third have a stimulant drug to treat it. 3/4 say it's difficult to get it filled because the medication is unavailable. Worldwide, 2 to 5% of adults say they have ADHD. Prescription for it has increased since COVID-19. Symptoms begin in childhood. 55% of those, however, with the condition say they had been diagnosed as adults. I was never diagnosed as a youth. I remember my teacher in third grade saying to my mom, "Does your son eat sugary cereal in the morning? What kind of cereal having him eat?" Because of my hyperactivity. And my mom was highly offended by that because she did not get me sugary food. I don't think that would affect you an hour or so later. What do I know? But that's ridiculous. because my mom didn't get me that stuff. The best I ever got was like Golden Grams. A rare occasion I'd get, I'd sneak in Boo Berry or Frankenberry, which is all sugar, but it was primarily Cheerios or Golden Grams, and I'd put some sugar in the Cheerios, of course, always. All right. Question for you. My question for you is, do you believe this, that 15.5 million people have ADHD, and why do you think so many have it? Or do you think it's possible that they do not have it? Or are you one of these people that says, I don't think it's real, da-da-da? I have it. It's a gift. My son has it. It's a gift. It was a struggle and had a lot of issues when he was young. My daughter has it, and it's in a different way. The medication didn't really do much for her. I think she was on something that's a lot lighter and stuff, but at the end, she says it doesn't do anything for me. And I found out as an adult I have it because it was a realization, and working with therapists about other issues. I'm a strong believer in therapy, if and when you need it. I'm a big believer in it. And so you take some tests that are basic and such, and I had a counselor that was an ADHD expert, and he diagnosed me. It was pretty easy. But anyway, it's a gift. You just have to know how to handle it. And for some, medication does help. For others, it doesn't. My son takes it, the ones that are like 4 hours or something. It's a stimulant, and he takes it only when he needs to study. It helps him hyperfocus or focus. So when he has something serious, he'll take one. But of course, you got to be careful with your schedule and your sleep and everything. When he went to Japan, and a lot of this stuff is our doctor is her daughter-in-law is from Japan. He got married in Japan, her son, and she's like, you need to. I wouldn't bring any prescriptions there. You better, a lot of this is not allowed there. Not even Benadryl is. I'm like, what the heck? And she's like, I don't, because she knows my family very well. She's like, I don't want your son getting in trouble or anything. So he actually worked with the ministry or whatever it is, the health ministry or whatever, however you deal with in Japan. And surprisingly, he got it through. And so he got a big fat prescription for his ADHD stuff, and they let it come in, which is insane from what we were told, but good for him. Anyways, I don't have a problem with medication. I don't think your teacher should ever tell you anything about it. They can suggest something gently, but the ones who tell you, don't listen to them. Listen to you. Listen to your experts that you hire and pay, who are not incentivized to it. I don't have a problem with how many it is. It doesn't alarm me or bother me. 800-288-WBAP is the number, 800-288-9227. Let's go to Dwayne in Dallas, WBAP. Hello, Dwayne.
Hello, Chris. It's a pleasure to speak with you. I've been listening to you for several years.
Thank you.
Wanted to tell you a story about my son. Ever since his mother found out she was pregnant, she read children's books to him in English and in Spanish, and played classical and Christian music to him. Mm-hmm. He speaks 3 languages, plays several musical instruments. He was president of his class, editor of the yearbook. He's always been to private schools, and every school that he went to for church, the principals always wanted him to stay. They didn't want him to leave because he's a leader. And I believe that a lot of that has to do with that. And when he was young,
you're talking about the reading the books. I'm sorry, I had introduced ADHD, but you were talking about our last one with all these elite college students saying that they can't read a full book. I got it. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so the other part of that is I do believe that most people have ADHD, but it's because of all the games and the videos and the stuff that we play. He was very limited on how much time he could spend on those games and stuff, and the rest of the time his mother would make him play with like Legos and stuff. And so he's just he's a totally different breed.
Well, Legos are very, very good, and they are wonderful thing for children to play with and to do. But yeah, I appreciate your call. I don't think it is video games as much. And in fact, my son would argue, and I used to think this was insane, he would argue that the video games help him He's 21 now, so I mean he's an adult, and he plays a lot of Call of Duty. Too much Call of Duty. He says there's a new one coming out soon. You aware of that, producer Garrett? Yeah, he already pre-ordered. I think my son did too.
20.
What? Okay,
my
20.
son is 20. He's in his third year at UT Arlington.
So, okay, great. My son's at one of our universities, too, here in North Texas, public ones. And that's wonderful. But I'm just saying, so he says the opposite. He says it helps. Now, look, we limited it when he was young, but he says it helps with him, with his, to release stress and to help him release and then focus and re-engage.
Yeah, it can definitely do.
Yeah, so and so I don't have a problem with the video games as long as when they're younger. Obviously, you really have to be on it. Dwayne, I appreciate your call, my friend.
All right, good speaking with you.
Good speaking with you, sir. Thank you. James, Fort Worth. Hi, what's up, WBAP?
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Welcome.
Yeah, I do. I think there's over 15 million. It'll continue to climb as the population grows. But what's causing it? I would say it's a complication of several things. There's a lot of lights outside at night. There's a lot of television during the day. There's a lot of social media and things that just inspire people's attention. And reading a book that's 300 to 400 pages long is just not that entertaining. So what's with the distractions? Where is it coming from?
Although real fast, I will say this. It is entertaining if you're reading a good book, isn't it?
Right, but parents today are not pushing people to read books. They're pushing people to get their daily work done and do it again tomorrow. There's some parenting have a long way to go from the baby boomers down to the millennials and the new generation. I'm 36 myself. I got 3 kids. I'm not doing the same things that I did with my kids that I learned. There wasn't iPads back then. There wasn't iPhones. There wasn't unlimited subscriptions to streaming devices. And so, yes, your son probably finds comfort in those, but without those, he is not comfortable. So then you could say, why is there so much ADD or ADHD? It's because when you gravitate towards those things without them, it's like a drug. They have a withdrawal.
I would argue on that because we did a lot of studying on ADHD in the history, and one of the first discoveries for stimulants as being successful and working was for children. And I can't remember what it was. It was some kind of a thing they were giving them. I don't remember if it was a caffeinated thing or something. We're talking in the industrial age era or somewhere around there, or later after that, where I can't remember the exact story. My wife would remember it. And but that's when it was first stumbled upon as a stimulant, helps them to focus and direct. And I'm not saying everybody should be doing this at all. I'm one who I don't take medication for my ADHD, but I do take medication for some other things that are anxiety related, and I think it's all intertwined. And I think that it's something that gives me great strength in my work and for a real focus when I want to. But I think it also is it's hard because it's hard to stay focused, and I'm always doing 5 things at once, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, and then I'm like, where did the time go? What happened to me? And I'm angry. But I think it's just being aware. Mine has nothing to do with that. Mine is either hereditary or it's a brain issue. And so I don't think so. I think it's the way that we're made or wired. And I just think that's how it is. But that's my strong opinion as somebody who has it. My son has it. My wife has it. And I think there's a way. There's an angle of disability. There's an angle of an asset. And we learned something that we didn't know. You can, if you have, but you have to get the actual, real, authentic documentation from a doctor and all sorts of special things. But you can apply for extensions and tests. Like when you sit down, you'll get some extra time if you have it. Universities do it, and schools do it. We actually decided to take advantage of it, and it's helped my son out. When he first went to take his first I can't remember what the test was. Oh, was it like an ACT or something? I can't remember how this worked out. Maybe it was the what's the one you take when you're younger? It's not the official one. It's the pre-SAT or something. You know what I'm saying? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's the PSAT.
Yes, yeah. And he circled the answers. Instead of filling out the stupid bubble, he circled the answers on the sheet or something, and he failed, and he was like just devastated. That's the kind of thing. It's like, it's not that he doesn't follow instructions, is that I catch myself now at 51. And I'm ready to respond to an email, and I totally have it wrong, and it's much better news than I thought it was. And I reread it, I'm like, how the heck did I miss that? And so that's kind of the things that can happen on folks like myself. And it's not an excuse. My boss doesn't care. My employers don't care. If I don't do something, I'm in trouble, and I don't play that as an excuse. But so it's interesting how the mind can work.
Well, it is very interesting. Two other things I'll close with.
Oh, and I want to say one more thing, too. I am a victim is what I'm trying. What I'm trying to say tonight is I am a victim. Nothing is my fault. Go ahead, sir.
Do you and your family able to sleep at the same time, pretty much within a range each night? And then also, I'll just close with, do you feel comfortable like you do on the airways as you do in person for public speaking? Because those are the two things that cause people to be hyper.
Yeah, I do feel comfortable. Here's the thing, though. And when you listen to people that are on Fox News or that are politicians, like the ones that are truthful, or the debate, were you nervous? Yes, I was nervous. I was insanely nervous. I think J.D. Vance said that, but he did very well. So I think there's a very healthy nervousness, whether you're at the top of your level, or in my case, you're at the top of a level of a radio, as far as you're in a top 4 market in the country, and you're the best station in what your format is in the market and in some of the countries, in the whole country. And what was the question on that? I was answering it, but then nervousness. Yeah, so there's nervousness even on the radio sometimes. When I do it, I get nervous and I think I suck, or I don't feel I'm ready enough, even though I worked my butt off to get ready for the show. There's nervousness in public speaking a lot. But the more you do it, I enjoy it. I've done keynotes for one of my longtime sponsors, Kids Beach Club, an after-school Bible club for kids K through 3 through 6. And at one of the big fundraisers, I've done keynoting for them in other places, at events at Texas Motor Speedway. I've done stuff at Texas Motor Speedway like that. And I get nervous, but I love it. I love getting attention, and it's just getting it in the right way. Unlike when I was young, I got it in the wrong way and got in trouble a lot, which is one of those ADHD things too. You get in trouble a lot because you act out. Anyways.
Oh, that's interesting. And then would you say your sleep, do you get to bed at the same time each night?
Well, I try to. If I'm disciplined, yes. If I'm not, no. And I have, just total full disclosure, I never watched the Walking Dead series. Did you ever watch it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
I don't know why. I don't like horror movies at all. I don't like them at all. I hate them. I don't want to be scared. But this one, it's not a horror thing. It's weird. I don't know what it's like, kind of, but not really. You know what I'm saying? And we never watched that, and we finally saw it, and I'm like, I'm like, this is stupid. But I watched it a little bit, and all of a sudden, whoa, I got hooked. And so here we are in like the beginning of season 5 now, and I was up way too late with my wife and all that stuff. So, look, when you come home late, you go to bed late and you get up late. And what we did is, since we homeschooled for all those years, everybody was on a late schedule, and I felt guilt and shame about it. But in the end, it's like it worked. My kids they're thriving. Their grades are thriving. Their academics are thriving. So the idea, you got to get up early, all this stuff. You got to be disciplined in whatever it is the right thing for you. I got to roll, but you really have been a great call, and I hope I've answered your questions. And I don't feel nervous right now. Thanks. Appreciate you, brother. You have a great day. All right. God bless Fort Worth. All right. We got Nolan in Waco and Joel in Arlington. We have 2 lines open, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. 15.5 million have ADHD. My questions for you is, do you believe this? Why do you think so many have ADHD, or do they? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. A listener just 2 days ago, I printed it out and I put it in my stack of stuff to see every day until I get it through my thick skull. He's like, I love your show, but slow down. It's hard to hear you, so understand you sometimes. That's typically who I've been over the years, and I get so excited and like hyper focused. I know so much, and I'm so passionate. It's hard for me to slow down, but I took note of that and I printed it out and I read it every day to remind me, slow down. All right, we got 2 lines open at 53 after the hour. At 10:53, we'll be right back to continue this discussion on ADHD. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3, ADHD all over the place. Let's pop you on right away. Nolan, Waco, WBAP.
Hi, this is Nolan Garrett. I run the Waco ADHD Clinic. So I've been doing that for about 20 years, and just thought I would call in and maybe answer some questions you might have.
Yeah, we only have about 30 seconds, so just why don't you go for it. Okay. Sorry.
Well, one of the things that we see in adults, it's different than kids, is a thing called RSD. And about 40% of adults with ADHD have this RSD, rejection sensitive dysphoria. And the 4 things that they sort of fear the most is rejection, criticism, embarrassment, or humiliation. And it's sort of really, you just see them navigating relationships with that kind of as a background.
Well, Nolan, I'm sorry we didn't have more time, and I urge you to call back in again. I'm honored that you're listening, my friend. Honored, very much so. I could have used you about 20 years ago when I first started figuring this out, but there you are now. Thank you very much.